15 games left in the NBA season. Teams jockeying for position in both the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference. We're going to start here, Joe Ranieri, in Milwaukee last night. Now, by the way, for a 4-game card, I loved what the NBA did last night. It's a shame LeBron James did sit out because each and every one of those games was going to be one of those like, hey, you know what, 5 points or less across the board. Now, we also saw, as Joe pointed out, Jimmy Butler sitting late yesterday, but we didn't anticipate that early in the show yesterday on the early line. But looking at this game moving forward, which was the Lakers and the Bucks, no LeBron James, should have been an easy victory for Milwaukee. And sometimes as you set the table, we all expected this, or most of us, right? End of the first quarter, Milwaukee 32, Los Angeles 16. Look at that. Maybe Anthony Davis going to, get curtains in the second half and just say early in the second half, I don't have to play anymore because there's no point in me playing in this basketball game if we can't win. Fast forward to 2 overtimes. Anthony Davis, he played 52 minutes last night, 34 points, 23 rebounds in a Lakers victory, which has more question marks for me on the Milwaukee Bucks as it does the Lakers. But that's a big-time win for the Lakers here. I loved what I saw. That's a lot of fight heading down the stretch, including winning that fourth quarter 27-13. How about it? The Lakers with a dub last night, Joe.
And how ridiculous is the NBA getting, Donnie, with these 20-point leads mean absolutely squat.
Nothing.
It's almost to the point where, like, all right, wait until one team gets up 20 points and then in-game go ahead and hammer it the other way because it's not going to last. It's unbelievable how 20-point leads these days now evaporate and you get double overtime games without a superstar playing. And listen, a lot of this had to do with the fact that Lillard couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. But he still certainly took his shots, though, didn't he? I mean, he was 9 of 29. And yes, he scored 27, as you pointed out, Donnie. But my goodness, I mean, 9 of 29. Malik Beasley had 21. But if he is a couple of more shots, and Milwaukee probably runs away with this thing one way or the other. But he was awful last night, no doubt about it.
Let me ask you a question about this, too, because the Lakers, I do think, are going to be in the top 10, let's just say, in the Western Conference, comfortably into that play-in series. But the Milwaukee Bucks, for me, do you remember the trade as it went down where Dame Lillard out of nowhere goes to Milwaukee as opposed to Miami? It's like, oh, my goodness. Like, you're talking about, 1-2 punch here. The Boston Celtics and the Milwaukee Bucks down to the final game of the season. One game, back of each other. Each team hovering around 60 wins. And the Milwaukee Bucks, even though it's a solid record here, Joe, 46-26, I just feel like Dame hasn't even come close to living up to what we thought could possibly be in Milwaukee.
Well, it's amazing that a guy like Damian Lillard, right, one of the most prolific shooters in the game, in the history of the game, right, we never talk about him with this team. This entire team's narrative has been around wrong coach, fire coach, hire Doc Rivers, don't play any defense. Yeah, I mean, but at what point have we ever talked about Dame Lillard, which is kind of mind-blowing, right? I mean, he has not dominated the headlines with this organization. And what happened last night is exactly the reason why they fired Griffin and brought in Doc Rivers. How's that working out for you exactly, Milwaukee?
Yeah, not too well right now. We'll see if they can get it together in the playoffs here. But finally being healthy, like their big three was healthy last night. And LeBron James didn't play. They were at home. As you say, close to a double-digit favorite, lose outright here. Let's flip it over to South Beach. How about this game? Golden State Warriors taking it on the chin the past couple of days because the Houston Rockets are trying to hunt them down for that 10th overall seed. They come away with a big victory in Miami, 113-92. In that game, you saw Klay Thompson go 6 of 14 from three-point range in the starting lineup for 28 points. Ho-hum effort here by Steph Curry, 3 of 10 from three-point range, only 17 points. But when you look at the Miami Heat, I could say the incomplete Miami Heat, that was a walk-away winner for the Dubs.
Yeah, and Kuminga is really starting to come into his own for the Warriors. He played a big role there. But this whole entire thing, we had heard yesterday how the Miami Heat were close to getting healthy, right? So Kevin Love and Caleb Martin were going to be good to go, and there was no Bam Adebayo on the list. There was no Jimmy Butler. They're hoping to get Tyler Hero back here shortly. So things were looking good, and then all of a sudden, illness. I don't even know what that is. An illness pops up on Jimmy Butler, and next thing you know, no Tyler Hero, no Jimmy Butler. I'm good with anybody as long as Butler and Bam are on the court. The minute you take one of those two guys out of that equation, it doesn't matter who else is playing the rest of the pieces. Duncan Robinson was also out in that game. So Yeah, there's a combination for Miami that will work and be dangerous, but that wasn't it last night.
No, it certainly wasn't. And you take a look at the Miami Heat, right? Like, man, when are some of these guys actually getting back into the lineup? Because they weren't thought to be like major injuries. I always flip it over to the New York Knicks. Like, okay, they'll be out a little bit with Randall and Anunoby. They're on like a milk carton at this point here. No idea. And I don't even get any updates of when these guys are actually coming back. So we'll see how it plays out down the stretch. But a lot of mystery in the Eastern Conference with some of these big-time injured players heading down the stretch. No mystery last night. The OKC Thunder pick up a 7-point victory on the road against the New Orleans Pelicans, led, how about this, by Josh Giddey, 25-9 last night. Williams had 26 points. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander didn't even need to go for 30-plus points in a victory as he scores 24 here. OKC with a great victory on the road against a talented Pels squad.
Yeah, you got to love, too. I know there's a lot of guys on Giddey's prop number going over, which was, you ready for this? 3.5.
Flag it.
Flag it. And I think they cashed the ticket in the first quarter. It was another one of these great games, great effort on the road by OKC, who, by the way, has not been great against the number. Laying points with them has not been great as of late. And then they were a favorite again yesterday, although it was only by, -1.5. They, too, almost blew a 20-point second-half lead where New Orleans came roaring back. I mean, Zion was huge last night. McCollum took him a little longer to get ready, but it was a 20-2 run that put New Orleans back in that game last night. Ultimately, give credit to OKC on the road. They held on. They withstood the 20-2 run and end up winning the game. So pretty good moxie by OKC.
Teams are supposed to tire, Joe, on the road on the second night of a back-to-back. Even if the home team has a back-to-back, you figured the legs would be fresher. That wasn't the case last night as we went out to Sacramento. I actually thought the Kings were the right side in this one at -1.5. They get smoked, 132-96. And take a look at this second half. Dallas won the third quarter, 38-23. In the fourth quarter, 36-20. This is what we wanted to see from the Dallas Mavericks, where it can't just all be Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. They had 28 and 24 respectively, but 14 points by P.J. Washington, 22 off the bench by Hardaway. This is one of those teams to watch out for, because if they get it right and the superstars are healthy, they can do damage, and they really did damage last night in a monster victory over the Kings.
Yeah, well, and now with that win, too, the Mavs have sixth place by themselves here. They moved the game ahead of Sacramento. Both of them are trying to avoid that, dreaded 7 or lower position there and have to play a play-in game. But, Donnie, if I'd have told you, hey, take the over in the Sacramento-Dallas game, and you did at 233 and then woke up to find out Dallas scored 132, you must have been like, all right, where's my money? Yeah, no. Yeah, didn't. Another non-over situation, even in the 230s, with a team scoring $132.
Yeah, and the thought process for me last night was, okay, if they're both on back-to-back, one team was waiting on the other team because the Dallas Mavericks had to fly in, and that certainly wasn't the case. You take a look at the starting lineup for the Mavericks last night, Joe, +25, +25, +21, +28, and +18 here. So when we do look at those standings here, they do sneak, talking about the Dallas Mavericks, into that top 6. Now they sit only one game back of the Pelicans, who lost last night. Dallas is really intriguing because, as we know, once you get into the playoffs, it's extended. First round, one game every 3 to 4 days that you play. Superstars get a chance to rest and get healthy. And also, looking at the game last night, very efficient for the two superstars. 35 minutes for Irving, 32 minutes for Doncic. But both of them, how about this? 10 of 19 from the floor for Kyrie Irving, 10 of 18 from the floor for Luka Doncic. Now, Luka, the first thing you look at, right, is did he get that triple-double? So your eyes go, okay, 28 points, 11 rebounds. Oh, he had the assist there, but only had 6. But that's because Kyrie Irving chipped in with 8 assists to go right next to him. I liked what I saw last night from the Dallas Mavericks, so we'll keep an eye on them down the stretch. But now, out of the play-in rounds here, let's flip it over to college basketball and take a preview of the Sweet 16 action this weekend.